This is John Force, 16-time funny car champion.
Hey guys, it's Justin Ashley, driver of the Phillips Canal Toyota Top Fuel Dragster.
Hi, I'm Robert Knight, 3-time funny car champion.
I'm Kyle Koretsky, driver of the Lucas Oil Chevy Camaro.
I'm Dallas Glenn, driver of the Radford Systems Pro Stock Camaro.
And you're watching Inside the NHRA.
And you're tuned in to Inside the NHRA.
And you're watching Inside the NHRA.
I tell you what, this is Anton Brown, 3-time NHRA Top Fuel World Champion. And stay tuned in to Inside the NHRA.
If you want to be entertained, this is the show, and Darren is the guy to do it.
We are officially halfway through the NHRA countdown to the championship, and the battles are certainly heating up. What is up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another special edition of Inside the NHRA, streaming live on American Hot Rod Entertainment, Competition Plus, and the Monday Morning Racer YouTube and Facebook channels. We're streaming from like 5 different platforms, some on YouTube, some on Facebook. I don't even know. We're even on Dave W's YouTube channel. So thank you guys all for tuning in this Sunday evening for our recap of the 2023 NHRA Midwest Nationals from Worldwide Technology Raceway in Madison, Illinois, St. Louis, Missouri, whichever you want to say, technically Madison, Illinois. As always, I'm your host, Darren Williams Jr., and joining me as always is another DW, my man, Dave W.
There you go.
Just like Lee. I messed up. How's it going, Dave?
That's okay. It's going good. Hi, everybody. Nice to see you all again. Thanks for tuning in. Like Darren said, we got halfway through the countdown, and boy, St. Louis sure was kind of a surprise race that really shook everything up. We said that we would have a good idea of where everybody stood after we got halfway through, and I don't know that the picture's any clearer. What do you think?
I don't think so either, man. And I'm like, I think so. Obviously, you know, we like to show the points after each race here on the show, but NHRA hasn't uploaded the points yet on NHRA.com. So we're going to go based off of Dave W's points that he accumulates at home. So thank you for that, Dave. But it's not just us two here tonight. We also got another special guest joining us for the first time here in 2023, my man, Kellen Nitro of Nitro Maniac TV Drag Files. How's it going, Kellen?
What's going on, guys? Yes, and not only are you guys streaming out to all those great sites and that stuff, I got you guys streaming right through my community tab on Nitro Maniac TV's Drag Files as well. So counted an even 6 at this point
I appreciate that, man.
Different sources and that stuff that you guys are streaming out to. I'm jacked. Today was amazing. This was such a topsy-turvy weekend. The whole gambit of emotions. I'm sure we'll get to it, but and a lot of cool pride as well, as we'll get to it when we talk about the Sportsman winners and that stuff, especially with Pro Mod. So very happy to join you guys tonight.
Yeah, man, happy to have you on. And like I said, your first time here on Inside the NHRA here in 2023. It's been too long, man. So happy to get you on before the season ends. And I can't wait to see you in Pomona in just about next month, basically, for the World Finals.
You blew the top off my big announcement. But yes, I will be. We'll lead with that right now. I will be at Pomona at the World Finals at the In-N-Out Burger Dragway, chowing down on double doubles, checking out how the championship ends in November. It's going to be fun hanging out with you guys in person, and I can't wait. It's going to be insane. So there we go.
I'm sorry, Kellen, but it's In-N-Out Burger Pomona Drag Strip, not Dragway. Just to say.
There we go. Drag Strip. Yes. I'm learning the lingo here. Here we go.
I'm just messing with you, man. I'm just messing with you. Like I said, happy to have you on. But again, it's not just us three. We have one more member joining us here tonight. Co-host. Well, actually, he's the lead co-host on Competition Plus Power Hour. They call him the man with the shades. It's the duo, man with the shades and the man with the braids. It's my man, Lee Kraft, the Monday Morning Racer. How's it going, Lee?
Man, it is a good evening here in Madison, Illinois. Off to the west is St. Louis, still sitting in the parking lot at Worldwide Technologies Raceway, where a great NHRA national event just wrapped up.
Man, I tell you what, happy to have you on. Like, again, we've had you on so far here in 2023. Happy to have you on to break down here the 2023 NHRA Midwest Nationals from Worldwide Technology Raceway. Like I said, everybody, thank you guys all for tuning in. If you haven't already, before we get started, we are just a few hours after the last pair of top field cars went down the track. And we already have final rounds. We have highlights. We have graphics, everything for you guys to put on a great show. If you guys will do me a solid, make sure to like this show and share this show and let everybody know across the world, everybody in the drag racing sphere, that we are breaking down the third race of 6 in the 2023 NHRA countdown to the championship. And like we said, what a great day of racing it was today. First off, let's kick it off. His mama called him Clay. I'm going to call him Clay. Clay Milliken gets the win in Top Field Eliminator. Third win of the season. Career high for wins in a single season for Clay Milliken. And Dave, what a great day for Clay, Jim Oberhofer, and the whole Rick Ware racing team.
It really was. And I think that I'll be the first one to admit, if you haven't gone to dragracebrackets.com and started filling out your brackets, it's a fun thing to do, just like the NCAA tournament. I went on there, filled them out this morning for the first time. I'm like, I'm going to give it a shot. I did not have Clay Milliken getting out round 1, so my bracket was busted as soon as he turned on the win light against Austin Prock. But congratulations to Clay. What a surprise win, I feel like. I mean, they were inconsistent at best. I mean, yeah, they qualified top half of the field, but did not expect, with the caliber of cars that they had to go up against, that they would advance through the rounds the way that he did. And just a huge congrats to Clay. And like Alan Reinhart mentioned on the PA, maybe his sister being at the track's good luck because he won Denver with her there too. And like when he's got his family in town, he just rises to the occasion. They go around and win races.
And he's perfect. He stays perfect in the state of Illinois. There you go too.
Yeah, if he does for the year 2023.
And so, Kellen, let's now move on to Nitro Funny Car. Matt Hagan, the Hulk, gets the win in Nitro Funny Car. And he was always in the championship hunt, but this definitely solidifies his name in the championship hunt with 3 races left to go.
Clutch players show up in clutch situations. And yes, Matt Hagan has entered the chat, everybody. Just a stellar performance, a stellar weekend from everybody on that crew too. And the runner-up as well, Ron Capps, you can't count him out either. This is going to be, again, reminiscent to last year's NHRA title fight in Funny Car. It'll go down to the final round at the final race in Pomona. I'm just enjoying the process right now, guys. It is a lot of fun. But yeah, kudos to Matt Hagan and that entire crew. Stellar stuff.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned the runner-up, Ron Capps, coming off a first-round loss at the last race in Charlotte, North Carolina. Great for him to bounce back and make it to the final round. Your reigning Funny Car champion is definitely in the mix with 3 races left to go. Moving on now to Pro Stock Car. Back to you, Dave. Your man, Greg Anderson, 103 career wins, best all time in Pro Stock. It took him almost 10 months to get 102. Takes him only a week to get 103.
How about that? Back-to-back for the first time since the Western Swing in 2019. And solid move in the points. Greg and Erica 1-2, battling for a championship once again with 3 races to go in the countdown. What else could you want if you love Pro Stock? The 2 what did Erica say? The elder statesmen of the class, if you will, are the 2 that are going to be battling it out, at least for now, that moved their way back to the top with their strong run through eliminations today. And Greg was cutting lights and turning on win lights with good performances too. So it'll be interesting to see if they can carry that momentum through Dallas, Las Vegas, and Pomona.
And Lee, like Dave just mentioned, Erica and Greg 1 and 2 on the points with 3 races left to go. Did you think we would be here with how I wouldn't say bad, but, they pretty much weren't the top of the class, at the beginning of the season. It was more so Matt Harford, Derek Kramer, Troy Coughlin Jr. But to see these 2 at the top this late in the season, did you expect that at all?
Did not expect it at all. Surely did not. Granted, the countdown allows for such in the points as we've got right now in Pro Stock, and we can see people making moves in other classes as well. In the post-race time with the media, Greg Anderson even mentioned that he was thinking he was done. Like, he just needs to get out of the car and let Cody come on in and take over the reins and start wheeling that thing. But he's like, hey, I've been winning. I'm not done yet. So it's kind of even a bit of a shock to Greg Anderson. He even mentioned that he's not sure recently where he's been able to tap into some better reaction times. He's been living in the 30s and the 40s, and it's not a 30 and 40s game anymore on the tree in Pro Stock especially. But the driving has been there for who I like to call as the greatest Pro Stock competitor of all time.
There you go. There you go. Before we get right into this, final question for you, Lee. Obviously, you were at the racetrack. You were at Worldwide Technology Raceway this weekend. Our thoughts and prayers are with Angie Smith. Had an accident in qualifying yesterday. They said she had 2 broken feet and obviously, some burns to her skin, obviously from sliding down the racetrack. Can you give us any more information on that? Obviously, what you've heard from whether in the media center or from other people within NHRA on how she's doing?
Well, what was strange is what we didn't hear. We heard nothing for a very long time. In fact, in watching the run, no one saw anything. It wasn't apparently seen on NHRA.tv. It is something that we're sitting in the media center. We're all looking at the screen. You're getting the starting line cam shot, but there's this massive presence rolling to the top end for Angie, as we find out later. And it is from the starting line, from out of the pits, from the top end. A lot of medical personnel and emergency vehicles flashing lights in your eyes. Something serious has happened, but we did not have any information on what did happen for several minutes. I would say probably 15, 20 minutes in or after the incident, rather, no information. We finally do get the information that Angie became separated from her motorcycle, and that's how it was delivered. She became separated from her motorcycle, and condition-wise, there was nothing stated until Sadie Glenn, handles PR for Matt Smith Racing, put out on the Matt Smith Racing and Angie Smith Racing channels her condition from the hospital. And then later on this morning, there was put out with Joe Costello and Matt Smith an official video from the NHRA. Very strange, like a silent, extreme incident. There wasn't a flash, a boom, a bang, a flame. It was run happens, scoreboards light up, everybody goes to their normal, tallying everything, who's up next, and everything went silent, and lights were on, and people were rolling. It was strange.
And Dave, I know you were watching from home on NHRA.tv. Just your perspective on the whole thing that went down yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much what Lee said. You're watching it, and the bikes go through. Everything looked fine. They showed them probably go through about 100 foot past the finish line. They cut to the new NHRA TV graphics, which shows the basically the time slip breakdown for the run, and from there it cuts to the Christmas tree cam. It does not cut to the top end camera, and there's just silence. And then finally, Alan Reinhardt gets on to PA and says, Angie Smith had an incident down there, and that's where the safety car is rolling for and intending to. And I don't know, because I did not watch the FS1 shows today, if it's even been aired yet, if there's any footage that's even been shown of what happened. Don't know where in the top end she came off, where it ended up, where it landed, where the bike landed. Like Lee mentioned, they've been very silent on it and not really shown anything of it or even mentioned any details of what happened, how it happened, or where it happened.
Definitely. Like I said, our thoughts and prayers are with Angie Smith. 2 broken feet, but I hear that she is doing well, and hope to see her. Obviously, she most likely will be out for the rest of the season, but can't wait for a speedy recovery and see her back on the bike for sure next season. So thank you guys all for tuning in to this special edition of Inside the NHRA. We're ready to break this thing down. You guys ready? I think I'm pretty ready. You guys ready?
Sure.
Hey, belts are pulled tight. Let's go.
And I'm just say this too. We got 4 people in here, so you already know we're going 2 hours. So we got to get into this thing right now. So
I am not going 2 hours. I am hungry. I have been here all day. I need to make Kansas City tonight.
I got you, Lee.
Kansas City, that ain't that far.
Dave, what are we starting with, man?
I don't know. That's a great question. Where are we starting?
Top Fuel Eliminator.
There you go. Okay.
I know I say it all the time, but his mama named him Clay, I'm going to call him Clay. Clay Milliken gets the win here at the 2023 NHRA Midwest Nationals, 3rd win of the season. That is a career high in wins for a single season for Clay Millican in the NHRA and Top Fuel Eliminator. Dave, how about it, man?
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, definitely did not have that laid out on my bracket, but congrats to Clay and the team. And had two NASCAR teams battling it out in the final round, Tony Stewart Racing and Rick Ware Racing, going for the trophy. Leah was another unexpected finalist, too, the way that the ladder played out, but solid performances throughout the day. Put all the right people on the trailer at the right time, was there on the tree when he needed to be. The car picked him up when it needed to. And Amy, when everything comes together, you can't beat luck, right?
You definitely can't. Definitely can't. I know, Kellen, you're a big IHRA guy, been following IHRA your whole life. So to see a legend within the IHRA, Clay Millican, pull it out here on the NHRA side and get this third win of the season, how cool was it for you, man?
He's finally getting his just due. Yes, Darren. Death taxes and Clay Millican winning national events. That's what it seems to be the order in the universe. He just, when it gets to certain times a year, that team and that crew get it together. And I don't know this year if it's all about the state of Illinois or what, but he won in Chicago and he's won in St. Louis. Well, Madison, Illinois, I guess it's right across the river, right? So there you go. Sweeps that stretch, and it's a huge win for Rick Ware Racing in building confidence in the final races going into the penultimate showdown in Pomona at the end of the year, and maybe even going into next year a little bit as well. Up until this point, I don't think the countdown has been to Clay and team's liking. So the ability for them to kind of rise up and put their name back into at least the conversation of, okay, maybe the championship, that might be in the next stratosphere right now, but to get us into the top 5, I think we're real contenders for it. We saw it today. They can make it happen. So,
yeah, for sure. And we've had two just great throwdown races to kick off the countdown in Reading and Charlotte with cool conditions. And then, like Clay said in his interview, he said, hey, give me a hot racetrack and Jim Oberhofer tuning, and we're going to get that thing on down through there. And that's what they did. And so let's now take a look at the highlights of Clay Millican's day here from Worldwide Technology Raceway. First round taking on Austin Prock. You're going to see Austin Prock right here. Smokes the tires right at the hit, and Clay Millican sails on down through there. 3.761 at 333 miles per hour. Austin Prock struggles, but Clay Millican is moving into round number 2. Then we pick it up round number 2 is Clay Millican and Mike Salinas. Mike Salinas coming off becoming the first driver to go 300 miles per hour to the 8th. Well, this time has a cylinder out, and Clay Millican takes advantage. 385.0 at 285 miles per hour. He had problems in that second round matchup, but Mike Salinas was late. Clay Millican takes advantage, and Clay Millican is moving into the final 4. Then we move into the final 4. It's the 8-time Top Fuel champion of the world, Tony Schumacher and Clay Millican. And what a drag race this was right here. Top end, Clay Millican gets the win once again, 3.823 at 308 miles per hour. Clay Millican is moving into another final round here in 2023. Like you see the crew walking off right there. They love it. Clay Millican into another final. In the final round, he'll take on Leah Pruitt. Lee, we remember just a couple years ago, Leah Pruitt with that wild ride here at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Great to see her back in the final round, though. I'm sure you would have loved to see her kind of get a little redemption from this place or kind of exercise the demons.
That would have been a great story, and I'm sure would have had the question queued up for the post-race media win if she would have got it. That, hey, that year you were tracking towards being a contender in the championship, which she was. That COVID year, no countdown. She was actually top 3, if I remember correctly, coming into this event in a very close championship battle at that time. She has the incident where the car splits in half and just lost that mojo. And she's mentioned that they have found that mojo again earlier this year. And you can see it in a race like this. And this race, across the board, seems to begin to separate the actual players for the championship from those who are not going to be players in the championship. And Leah definitely made a statement in this race today that do not count me out. Made a final round. Let's see how much more we can get done. But Clay, going out there and winning, as we have all mentioned, he was certainly not going any further than round 1 in my bracket as well. And then he gets past Mike Salinas. I was shocked by that. Clay driving 037 light, if I remember correctly, on that image outdrove Mike in that case. If Mike had left a bit sooner, so what if he drops a cylinder or two? He might have been able to nick Clay at the line. So Clay drove well. Jimmo gave the tune-up in the post-race interviews with Clay. He was very clear, give me a hot racetrack, or give Jimmo a hot racetrack. He was like, bring on hot Dallas, because if he gets a hot Dallas and Jimmo tuning, they very well might be a favorite at the Fall Nationals. And to Kellen's point, look, their goal, finish top 10. He came into this race outside the top 10. He was 11th. Definitely he's going to crack into the top 10 after this event. But Elon Warner, who is a PR great, but something that he does routinely is he will send out point projections, scenarios to all those folks in the media of what could happen and what people can earn and what it can look like by the end of a day. He told Clay, you are not out of this. So mathematically, and Elon Warner would know, Clay's not out of it.
No, for sure. 3 races left to go. But going back to Leah Pruitt, though, final round appearance. And this how stacked Top Fuel is. Your number 1, 2, and 3, and 4 in the points were all on the same side of the ladder, and they raced in round number 2. Leah Pruitt, she took down some heavy hitters to get to the final round. Dave, you want to break down Leah's highlights for us?
Sure. Let me bring it up here just a moment.
I keep putting him on the spot.
Yeah, I know. All right, go ahead. What do we got here? First round, Leah Pruitt up against Sean Langdon. This was the actual match to open the race day with. Tight race there, 3.737, 329.99. Actually tied the identical elapsed time and speed to the 1,000th that Doug Coletta had in first round. So lane choice went to Leah because she did it first, which gave her the potential good right lane. Doug, as you see, got out on it a little bit. Hazed the tires. Leah goes down the track, 380 with a 328.62. Moving on to the semifinal round and a big matchup against Steve Torrance right here. And right there, Torrance got a little baby jump off the starting line, but Leah had the power to drive around 377 to 331.77. That car was flying. And to go up, be number 4 in points and take out number 2 in points was a big deal going into the finals. And that does move. I know we were kind of talking about the point standings, how that all shakes out. That puts Leah all the way up to second with her runner-up finish today.
There you go. If you remember, Clay Millican beat Leah Pruitt in the final round to pick up his first career national event win in the NHRA at Bristol just a few years back. So it's Clay Millican and Leah Pruitt, your final round here at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Let's take a look at that final round right now.
After going head-to-head with Doug and head-to-head with Steve, if she can stop Clay Millican, he's right back in the middle of the conversation. Millican, Pruitt, final 2 Top Fuel cars here at Gateway. Clay Millican, 375 beats 377, and look at him on the starting line. They were identical on the reaction time. Both drivers hit the throttle at 0.65. And Clay Millican wins it by 17 thousandths of a second.
So Clay Millican gets a hold of Wally for the 3rd time this season. Clay, in the semifinals afterwards, I asked you, how fast could it go if the belt stayed on? Well, now we know the answer, 375. Did you know you got the stripe? It was close down there.
I knew it was close. I could hear Leah, and I know that car's run good all day, but all I know is give me a hot racetrack, and Jimmo, look out, because the Comp Cams Par Plus Pilks is just freaking unbelievable. But I got to say this real quick. I know I got to cut it shorter. One of my bestest, longest friends, JC Metters, is here today. My sisters are here. What a huge day for everybody on this Rick Ware team. Thank you. This was huge. Huge.
I think Clay's sisters are good luck. It seems that when they show up at the racetrack, he seems to hang around late on Sunday afternoon.
His mama named him Clay. I'm going to call him Clay. Clay Millican, 3rd win of the season, 6th of his career in Top Fuel Eliminator in the NHRA. And I'll tell you what, his sisters are definitely great luck. Before we move on, guys, I just want to say thank you. We've reached a milestone for the first time ever here on Inside the NHRA. This show has been going on for 3 years now. but for the first time ever, we've reached over 100 live viewers during the live show. So I want to
right
thank you
on.
guys all for tuning in to Inside the NHRA. This is awesome. This is I'm blown away right now. So thank you. If you guys haven't already, make sure to like this show and share this show and let everybody know we are breaking down the third race of 6 in the NHRA countdown to the championship, the 2023 NHRA Midwest Nationals. And so
New track record, Darren. New track record.
New track record. Thank you,
There you
everybody.
go.
I really do appreciate it. Dave, you have the points up for us? Give it to us, man. 3 races left to go.
Yeah. So, all right. Looks like Doug Clutta still holds the lead over Leah Pruitt, who has moved up 2 spots to second. She's 47 behind. Steve Torrance drops 1 to third, 51 points behind, only 3 points separating them two. Justin Ashley drops to fourth, 77 behind. Antron Brown stays fifth, but he is now 96 back. Mike Salinas gets around Brittany Force for sixth. He is 124 behind. Brittany Force falls to 140 behind. Clay Milliken, with his big win, moves up all the way to eighth. He is 152 back. Tony Schumacher, 185 back. Austin Prock free falls all the way down to 188 points behind, 2 spots down. Sean Langdon, 217. And Josh Hart, who has been the surprise of this countdown with all of his struggles, remains 12th, 252 points out of the lead.
Wow. Yeah, 3 consecutive first-round losses for Josh Hart to kick off the countdown. Hopefully that team can rebound and finish off the year strong with 3 races left to go. And Dave, one name you mentioned was Justin Ashley, the regular season champion, came into the countdown with the points lead. Unfortunately, another early exit, lost in round number 2 to Steve Torrance. That was a big-time matchup in round number 2 between Steve Torrance and Justin Ashley. And believe we talk about it all the time. You know, Justin kind of like Robert Height, a little bit of a revenge tour. You know, came into the final 2 races of the season last year with a chance at the championship, kind of fell off, and this year has bounced back strong. 6 wins throughout the regular season. Looked like the favorite coming into the countdown, but unfortunately, the countdown has not started off the way they would like.
It certainly has not kicked off for them the way they desired, and certainly does not look like their regular season. They were certainly the most dominant in the regular season. At least in this situation, they made it past round 1. You have to get past round 1. They're not out of it yet, but that classic do or done line, it's creeping up on the competitors for sure. And yes, I understand mathematically Clay is not out of it. I understand mathematically Brittany's not out of it, but I think I think that line is falling right around there. When Brittany went out round 1, I even put in the chat with the content creators, she's done. And I think she is.
Mm-hmm.
That was going to be my next question. Thank you for bringing that up, Lee. And this goes to Kellen. First round loss for Brittany Force here this weekend here in St. Louis, losing to the 8-time Top Fuel World Champion Tony Schumacher. Does this pretty much end her bid for a chance at defending her title here in 2023?
It's on life support, I would think. I think what would happen is she has to have a very strong showing in Dallas at the Texas Motorplex in a couple of weeks. Otherwise, if they go out early in Dallas, then goodbye, see ya. Come again in 2024. Man, it's they got into the countdown and they have shown us nothing, absolutely nothing since the countdown started. So, David Grubnick, that entire crew, it's time to put up or shut up in Dallas. You know, show us something. Show us a number 1 qualifier, or show us at least a second round or a semifinal appearance. Keep your hopes alive. Or I think if they do the same thing in Dallas that they did here in St. Louis this weekend, it's over. It's done.
And now to you, Dave. Obviously, the jubilation and excitement of a win for Clay Milliken, but then the disappointment for guys like Justin Ashley and Brittany Forrest. Just your thoughts on those 2 drivers moving forward with 3 races left to go.
Well, you know, at this point, it's kind of surprising because Justin Ashley did so well, not only in those Mission Food Challenges, but also just in the hot racetracks throughout the summer. And this seems to be like an event that should have played into his hand. The biggest and most telling thing for me going forward, as far as like the Brittany situation, for example, is she out of it? I will go out on a limb and say yes. I think she is. This weekend, she went into the last qualifying session, still not in the show, put up no qualifying bonus points for any of the session points. Neither did Justin Ashley, neither did Leah Pruitt. And that really has been their saving grace, and their strong suit, which kept her so far up into points, was they were always low for a session. They were always good for 9 bonus points in qualifying, plus the pole, which is another 8. So you're putting almost a round on the table just in qualifying points. And the fact that they're going into the last session wondering if they're even going to be in the field, is just jaw-dropping. A weekend to forget for them. They have not been low ET or top speed for a number of events now. After Doug Coletta and Mike Salinas kind of took over, you'd have to go back to Topeka the last time Brittany had a top speed of the meet, and you'd have to go all the way back to Sonoma the last time she was a low ET. So I don't know if they're still struggling, if they don't have a handle on the car. But going forward to the next 3 races, I don't think that there's a magic wand that you wave that all of a sudden puts them in contention, not only to go rounds, but the qualifying points is what's hurting them, and that's where they were able to make up their deficits before.
For sure. And I'm no crew chief or anything like that. So obviously David Grubnick is, obviously one of the best crew chiefs out here, but it's like, I'm wondering what exactly is it with that team? Because like you said, they're not really hitting it, at different points throughout the racetrack like they were in previous seasons and even earlier this season. So I'm just really curious, what kind of, is this a change of philosophy or what's going on internally with that team? And I tell you what, still winless on the season. Let's see if they can build some momentum and hopefully come away with at least a win before the end of the year. Let's now take a look and see how the rest of the day shaped out in Top Fuel Eliminator. And Lee, one guy I want to point out is one man making his Top Fuel debut here this weekend here at Worldwide Technology Raceway, and that's your man, Cody Crone. Your thoughts on his performance first race out? Qualified, laid down some great ATs. Unfortunately, lost in round number 1, but I would say a pretty nice debut for the young man.
Very nice debut, and I'll say it's a very nice debut, not just in the runs. Qualifying went well until it didn't. That last session, he made a mistake, and he admitted that he made a mistake, and I appreciate that from a driver. Individuals that tend to have a bit more ego, they might not allow it to be stated that they had a mistake, but it was his mistake. He said that he laid a little bit on the throttle and revved that car up before smashing the throttle, and that caused it to burst some panels out of the supercharger. And I appreciate that from Cody and him expressing that and saying that. Good showing overall, though, for Larry Dixon and his car, Tony Shortall. It amazes me, Tony Shortall, that he, as a journeyman crew chief, if you will, is able to come into national events and tune for a McIntyre, tune for a Larry Dixon with multiple different drivers, tune for teams that we don't even know who is in the car and when they're going to show up, and just there they are, like Ron August and others. And he is able to get those cars down the track and in the show, and with Larry Dixon in particular, perform well enough that Cody, after the first session, was actually very comfortable. Didn't have to worry about qualifying the rest of the weekend, though they still went up and still made good laps, unlike some other teams that have even hit the track more often this year. So Larry, Tony, Cody, and also I've got to say, this might not be expressed without people seeing it, but they had a younger crew on that car this weekend. For example, Joe Gallegos, which many may be familiar with this show, and Darren, he was crewing and turning driver in Nitro Chaos, and also does tuning out here in the Nitro ranks as well. He was out there along with some younger folks that I'm familiar with, Foley Lewis Racing. Well, Doug wasn't here, and they were helping out Larry, and they had a younger group. They had a come in and get it done group, and they did just that. They got the job done and had a good representative weekend over teams that have hit the track more often this year.
Do you know when we could probably see Cody back out in a Top Fuel dragster? Do we know it all, or this is a one-time thing?
He is done for the year, period. You will not see him in alcohol. You will not see him in Top Fuel. Everything is looking towards next year. And shout out to the people that were helping him. And what does stick in my mind is the drag racers that were helping him, actually. Bob McCosh Chevrolet was helping Cody Crone this weekend. So Bob, very cool character in the Top Alcohol Funny Car ranks, was helping Cody. And Justin Bond with his equipment company was sponsoring Cody as well. And Cody certainly hopes that KC Racing will begin to grow smaller and smaller, and that those other partners beyond will grow bigger and bigger and bigger. But neat to see drag racers helping out a young drag racer make a start. And very well, Gateway, as we affectionately know it, could be the gateway for Cody Crone in the future in Top Fuel.
I like that. That was clever. I like that.
Well, there's a reason why there's an arch in that city, guys. So there we go.
I like that. Kellen, anybody else in Top Fuel Eliminator you kind of want to point out or give a shout out to?
Oh man, I'm going to go ahead and just give a shout out to the safety safari crews. In prepping for both nitro classes. From what I've seen today, the show was rolling along, and then we'll talk about it probably a little bit later on. The Dmitry Samarukov Pro Mod wreck. It was a real. They had to come out and clean the track and get it back into national event condition. After that, those guys busted their butt. And I guess the temperature was pretty hot down there today, from what I heard. And those guys, week in and week out, always bust their butt to give everybody a really awesome surface. So we see all the performances we had over the past few years. Also, it's a couple of weeks old, now it's a couple of weeks old. But again, shout out to Mike Salinas, Rob Flynn, first to 300 in the 8th back at Charlotte. Rob Flynn from Edmonton, Alberta, from my neck of the woods. Fun fact, Dale Armstrong, also a Canadian, was the crew chief that tuned Kenny Bernstein to the first 300 back in 1992 in the car that's right above your head on your wall there, Darren. So, and you can check out that one at the NHRA Motorsports Museum in Pomona. Now, I don't know if Salinas' car is going to the NHRA Motorsports Museum at the end of the year with all the parts catalog for that pass or anything like that, but it'd be interesting to see.
So what you're saying is, Kellen, Canada is basically what you're saying, huh?
Yeah, it's, we hardly, if ever, gloat at things. So once we get a little bit of success, we got to, do a victory lap, right? So,
Dave, anybody else in Top Fuel you want to go over?
Yeah, how about all just the independents that showed up? The Midwest tour, it's the last stop that you'll see some of these guys. Kyle Wurzel comes out solid 381. Lead touchdown, Cody Crone coming out there back-to-back 81, 82. I mean, that car was running solid. Didn't have to worry about qualifying. Lex June comes out with a 392. He puts it in the show. Buddy Hall, 392.0, just missed it by 2 miles an hour. Tied Lex June for 16th. But unfortunately, on speed, did not make the show. They struggled the first 2 runs. Made it actually on the last run, knocking Brittany out. But then Brittany obviously made it back in. But TJ Zizzo also probably in their last appearance of the year. I don't know that they would make it out to the Western Swing, but coming down and, it's nice to see, we have the 12 countdown cars, but the rest of the field showing up is really what matters and puts on a good show. And Terry Totten struggled. Unfortunately, he was at the bottom of the list with a 22nd run, but nice to see those guys come out there and nice to see a lot of the representative runs. I mean, TJ Zizzo didn't necessarily have a typical TJ Zizzo weekend. We know what that car is capable of. Right. But just to be out there and running, Kyle, Cody, Lex, Buddy, and Terry, thanks for coming out. Thanks for putting on a show. And really bad news for Lex with that immense fire and oil down in the first round that kind of put a little bit of a delay there as they had to clean up that left lane because, most people are upset that it took a long time and the lane seemed like it was questionable after that, but that's a lot of money for that team, and that's going to be a huge setback for them going through the winter.
For sure.
Yeah, they were disappointed. They were a bit disappointed, but it was a mistake. It was not just a mechanical issue. There was something that was overlooked, we'll put it that way, and it did cost. And that is one of the challenges with these teams that show up occasionally that aren't on the tour full time. They have volunteer crews. Sometimes they're training people on the spot under the gun, and things occasionally do get missed. Just glad to see Lex get in the show, and Dave, don't forget my boy Kyle Wurzel now.
I mentioned him. He was the first guy I talked about. 381, solid.
Hey, I remember
something on Lex's Facebook page too. They missed one of the qualifying runs, also due to an oiling issue or something in the pits that ruined a motor without even getting up there to make a pass. So a very costly weekend for that team. You hate to see it.
Hey, I remember a young Kyle Wurzel when he was driving the second team car for Bruce Litton on the IHRA side when they came up to the, I think like the third or the fourth IHRA Rocky Mountain Nationals up here in Edmonton. So I've been following Kyle for many years, and it's cool to see him out there still running and that stuff. And wish those guys all the success in the world. They're great bunch of people. So.
Yes, and he has a car that is a threat, especially at this track. He has his best ET at this particular facility, which is a 73, if I remember correctly. So definitely, Kyle can show up and get it done for the 4-6 races that he may do so.
Gotcha.
Before we put a cap on Top Fuel, Dave, I want you to read off the points one more time. And the reason is because we're halfway through the countdown now. And this is what we say. This is where we kind of see the championship battle kind of shape up and see who's really the front runners for the championship. So after Dave reads off the points, I want you guys to tell me, who do you think is really like the front runners for this championship moving forward?
All right, so we got Doug Coletta first, Leah Pruitt, 47 back, Steve Torrance in third, 51 back, Justin Ashley, 77 back, Antron Brown, 5th, 96 back. Mike Salinas, 124. Brittany Force, 140. Clay Milliken, 152. Tony Schumacher, 185. Austin Prock, 188. Sean Langdon, 217. And Josh Hart, 252.
So it sounds like really, obviously still a lot of racing left, but that top 5 is really like the key players left right under Mike Salinas. That's really like the 5 that are really pretty much, the heavy hitters going into the Stampede of Speed, I would say, Lee.
I completely agree. That, again, classic do or done line, it is certainly being defined. It is becoming thicker and bolder and more apparent. And this race tends to do that on the countdown schedule. And we can see, we did see, though, Doug Coletta, they have some weakness. They didn't get 3 in a row. They didn't make a final round. You see you see Leah step up, and We'll see again going into Dallas. And what Dallas are we going to get? It can be cooler that time of the year. Granted, though, it's rare. It can be super hot in Dallas this time of year, or it can be in that happy early autumn in Texas. Whatever we get, I think that's going to play into the hands of who is going to succeed or not. Granted, as Dave mentioned earlier, you take Justin, they were doing good no matter if it was throwdown conditions or hot weather conditions. And it seems like they've missed something all of a sudden. Can they bounce back at Texas? He definitely needs to bounce back at Texas. If I remember correctly, he's the defending champion of the event, is he not?
He's won the last 2 years, yeah.
Right. So going to Dallas, you've won there. Go get another cowboy hat and get yourself back up in the points. It needs to happen going into Dallas. I think someone that's kind of got that swagger right now, though, because it seems like Doug is certainly a professional, and Doug can get it done. And I think it can happen this year. But there's almost this air of, we're surprised this is happening, it seems like. Yeah. But an individual that's got some swagger right now, I think it's Leah, actually.
Yeah. Back-to-back semifinals in Reading and Charlotte, and then a final round appearance here. She's definitely strong to kick it off. I agree with that.
Second in points.
Moving
her way right up through the field. And, and it's second in points, 47 back. So some qualifying bonus points, some session points, and 2 rounds, she's there.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. When you're that close, you at least control your own destiny. When you're like Josh Hart behind, you're closer to be eliminated than you are to being back in the mix. So you are reliant. Pretty much, I would say everybody from, like you said, top 5 is the do or done line. 6th on back is reliant on the top 5 to struggle. If the top 5 keep going, like Lee mentioned, go rounds, you go to the second round of the semifinals, you're going to battle it out amongst yourself.
I agree. But in the end, Clay Milliken gets the win for Rick Rare Racing, 3rd win of the season, a career high for wins for Clay Milliken in Top Fuel Eliminator in the NHRA. Before we move on, Michael has a comment. He says, referring to Angie Smith, it was aired when it was time for Pro Stock Motorcycle to start. I'm guessing that's on FS1 if they've been on TV so far. So thank you to Michael for that right there. Talking about the Angie Smith incident. And then also got to give a shout out to Scott. Scott always supporting the show. $9.99 super chat. He says, enjoying the show. Congratulations, Darren, and everyone who helps with the show. I appreciate that, Scott. And thank you for tuning in week in and week out. And we also got another great comment right here from GWG. He says, this is the first time I've seen this podcast. Well, GWG, thank you for tuning in, and hopefully we've gotten a new fan here.
Yeah, subscribe up, and don't miss a second.
Thanks, Scott. It sucks we got to split that $9.99 four ways this show, but
all right, so top fuels in the books. Let's now move on to pro stock motorcycle. Well, the freight train continues in pro stock motorcycle. Gage Herrera gets another one, 8th win of the season. Can he get to 10? There's 3 races left to go in the pro stock motorcycle season. But how about it, Dave? Gage Herrera back in the winner's circle.
I told you he could make 10. He'd have to go and win just about everything else that was left. But at this point, who's going to beat him?
Who's going to beat him?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who is going to beat him? I mean, he ran his teammate in the final and just smoked him too. And Eddie was saying he really wanted that 50th, and he denied him again. Yeah, I mean, the man's on a hot streak. He again #1 qualifier, added that to his resume. When it comes to session points, he picked up the most bonus points in qualifying with 8. He had low ET, if I'm not mistaken, of every round of eliminations going through. Did get the top speed taken away from him. He did have that for a while, but Matt Smith did take that back. But he's turning on win lights. We had a short field again. Unfortunately, only 14 motorcycles were able to make it to St. Louis, which meant that the winner of the first round matchup between Gage and Joey was automatically going to the semis. So as soon as Gage won that, it was kind of game over for the rest of the field.
And, I've talked to Lee plenty of times about Gage Herrera so far here in 2023. So I want to go straight to you, Kellen. Your thoughts on Gage and his dominance here. 8 wins on the season, and it just continues, man.
It's like something out of the mid-'90s. It's like watching John Myers or Dave Schultz back in the day just roll out and just go hatchet job on everybody. It's unreal. It's when we get periods of dominance like this, we just got to sit back and just check it out and enjoy it as it happens, because in an ultra competitive class like pro stock motorcycle, this really rarely happens anymore. Like I'm trying to think back to a time where there was that type of dominance, and it has me thinking back to Star Racing and the early 2000s with Angel and Antron a little bit, but that was amongst 2 bikes. It's like I said, there's nothing recently that pops to mind with me thinking of one guy that's kind of taken the class by storm on a new bike, his first year with a team, and just roll out and just do this. This is it's definitely some really impressive God mode level stuff that they're showing for sure. Can it last? That's the next question I have. And I think if it lasts out for the end of this season, then obviously you're looking at the world champ. But we've seen dominant seasons in the past in all forms of motorsports, and in the last few races they stumble, and that dominance erodes away, and somebody else grabs the brass ring and gets the dub, right? So we'll wait and see, but what they've put together over there is just impressive.
I mean, it's over. I'm sorry. It's over.
So you're saying we're in garbage time, is what you're saying with pro stock motorcycle?
I think it's over.
Okay.
That's just my opinion. Some people may not agree, may get mad at me for saying that, but yeah, I think it's
well, you can look at it this way: Gage leads by 99 points over Matt Smith with 3 to go. So Matt needs to make 33 more points average per race ahead of Gage in order to do it.
Well, okay, that guy up there is so quiet. What you think, Lee? What you think, man?
Well, I did not get to ask Gage this in the media center after the race with the post-race time with the media. I was outside the room, but I intended to ask Gage, you realize the engraver's already got the tools ready.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that's the case.
Mhm.
I think you could go ahead and put his name on the trophy. And I think with the closest contender, not saying that anyone else is not a contender, but the closest contender was Matt Smith and is Matt Smith. But after this weekend,
Yeah.
I think with everything, it just makes it that much more of a single rider's win in the championship. And that's going to be Gage, obviously. And rightfully so. Matt's going to be concerned. Yes, he's a racer. He makes money at racing, but he's going to be concerned with his spouse, and rightfully so. And that is going to be a distraction. That is going to take away, and understandably so. So I think you're going to have a situation where that number one contender to possibly take it away from Gage, even though Gage needed to stumble, you're going to have a situation where that doesn't happen. He could just go cruise control at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely do agree with that. Let's now take a look at the highlights of Gage Herrera's day.
Gage has 7 wins in his career.
Is the final round. Here are the highlights of Gage Herrera's day. First round, taking on Joey Gladstone. Like you see, Matt Smith bike that Gladstone is on, but still, it doesn't matter as Gage Herrera gets the win, 6.701 at 201 miles per hour. Gage Herrera, a strong run as he moves into round number 2 in pro stock motorcycle. And obviously, moving into round number 2, the short field, Gage gets a bye in round number 2, and guess what? He just burns up the racetrack once again. Another 670, this time 6.706 at 202 miles per hour, a blistering 202 mile per hour speed as Gage Herrera lighting it up in the scooter division as Gage Herrera is moving into the semifinals. Then the semifinals, the 2 young guns, it's Herrera and it's Chase Van Zandt. Great drag race, but in the end, just too much. Gage Herrera, 6.716 at 202 miles per hour. Another big time speed for Gage Herrera as he moves into another final round. And then the final round, he will take on his teammate, Eddie Krawick. So it's an all Vance and Hines final round in pro stock motorcycle. Let's take a look at that final round right now.
Mm-hmm.
Gage has 7 wins in his career. All 7 of them have come this year. It's been that kind of domination since he got the call to come ride for the powerhouse. Advantage Gage by 100th. Advantage Gage by a bunch. 672, 201 miles an hour. Gage Herrera again. Eddie goes 676, 201 miles an hour. And Eddie's 50th is going to have to wait. But Gage Herrera racks up number 8 all this year.
Well, for the 8th time this season in 12 pro stock motorcycle races, Gage Herrera gets to raise the Wally. Gage, you get to race your teammate. He didn't put any holes in your bike. And you know what? That points lead is just growing and growing. How do you take this all in, knowing that this is your first real season chasing for a championship?
It's a lot to take in. I mean, not only that, to have all Vance Hines, Mr. Suzuki final. I keep holding Ed back from getting that 50th win, but to have us both in the final, this is awesome, and it showcases all the hard work back at the shop. So this is very good momentum for us continuing in the countdown, and I can't wait to keep it going.
Woo! Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations to Gage Herrera. 8th win of the season, is leading the points and starting to pull away. Takes down his teammate, Eddie Krawick, in the final, who was going for career win number 50, but cannot get it done. But Gage Herrera does have to thank Eddie Krawick for helping him extend that points lead because he defeated Matt Smith in the semifinals. Eddie Krawick defeated Ryan Ayler in first round and then Gianna Evaristo in the second round. Lee, going to you, back to Matt Smith. On the Buell this weekend, just your thoughts on that whole deal here with Matt Smith back on the championship winning bike here at the Midwest Nationals.
Not shocked. Matt Smith is going to do whatever it takes to try to win. If he feels like he's got a competitive advantage some way elsewhere, he will do that. We saw him do that all last year, and he went on to earn a championship. He will find a competitive edge. I think he will find a competitive edge within the rules. I do want to say it that way, but I believe he will do whatever it's going to take to get the win. He is a competitor of competitors out there in NHRA Pro Stock Motorcycle, and all the other classes better be glad. They better thank God that they don't have Matt Smith in their class.
Mm-hmm.
And Dave, just going on to you now. Obviously, I think this is a type of one-time deal. We talked about this actually this morning before the race kicked off, of how he went to Suzuki and basically asked them, hey, I blew up pretty much everything within my arsenal out of the last race in Charlotte, so I need to bring out the Buell. But just your thoughts on the whole deal, and just anybody else at Pro Stock Motorcycle you want to go over before we move on.
I think that it was great that Suzuki granted him the waiver. Like he said, he blew everything up. He tried to overnight everything, tried to get everything as quickly as he could, but with only a 5-day turnaround between events, it didn't have time to do it. Got to bring the other bike out, got to run it. So, glad that they let him do that. He's going to be on the Suzuki for the remaining 3 events, which is maybe good, maybe not good. But when we're talking as far as the big picture in the situation, yes, you don't ever want to concede or give in because you never know what might happen in the last 3 races. But like Lee said, I mean, that's his wife that had that terrible incident here this weekend. And it takes, they don't have a huge team of people. I mean, they all do the work. Yep. She is a huge contributor on the team as a crew, just as much as she is out there riding. So when you take that into perspective, the other team bikes that are out there, they're trying to field all these bikes. They're trying to get these other riders out there. They're trying to put this whole program together. And when you know that she's out for the rest of the year, which, she's 6th in points and is just going to free fall probably all the way down to the bottom half of the field. And you're 99 points out with 3 races to go. I think that, the points picture is pretty clear. Dallas will, if Gage wins again in Dallas, I'd say that it's 100% done, even with 1.5 points in Pomona. Other than the bike just completely not starting anymore. Gage is typically low in qualifying. He picks up the session points. He's number 1 qualifier, so he's always adding to his total. And the next closest after Matt is going to be Hector Arana Jr. He's 126 back. Eddie Krawick's 129 back. Chase Van Zandt has moved up to 5th, and he is 208 points behind. So, with 3 races to go, the do or done line is right there under Gage, I would say. As far as anybody else that was here this weekend, obviously shout out to the motorcycle riders that did show up. Hard luck award, aside from Angie's situation, would go to Chris Bostic, who had a fire on his motorcycle and had a battery that failed, and then had an engine issue on the next run. Just a lot of struggles for him this weekend. So I'm sure he's another one that's glad to see it be over with. Just a very unusual kind of topsy-turvy day, and especially with qualifying on Saturday with Angie's incident and all the Matt Smith bikes basically not making the runs, a lot of solo runs, not a whole lot of bikes going down the track. Right. Sunday eliminations being a short field was interesting, and just a very, very unusual, not typical pro stock motorcycle field for this event.
I agree. Didn't Steve Johnson have an issue in qualifying?
I believe he did too. I don't remember 100%.
Wasn't there a little fire or something?
I thought that was Chris Bostic's bike. Was it Steve Johnson's? I thought it was Chris's that caught
maybe
fire.
Maybe I was
Chris had a fire.
Chris had a fire. Okay.
Chris had a fire.
Yeah. No, it was a strange pro stock motorcycle weekend. It was strange.
Mm-hmm.
I love when new people comment. VidSearch Productions, he's in the comments. He says, I've been out of the pro game for a while. Who's in the countdown of Top Female Funny Card, top 5? And he also goes on to say, hey, Steve-O, finally. Wait, not that one. Where else? He had another comment. But thank you, VidSearch Productions, for tuning in to Inside the NHRA. Love when a new person comes in. But in the end, in Pro Stock Motorcycle, Gage Herrera gets the win. He's leading the points and starting to pull away 8th win of the season. It's looking like Gage Herrera will be your 2023 NHRA Pro Stock Motorcycle Champion of the world in just a few races. But I think Matt has something to say about that. Let's now move on, guys, to the Lucas Oil Sportsman Series. Obviously, the Camping World Series is not only the divisions that are racing at an NHRA national event, but the Lucas Oil Sportsman Series is as well. So, Dave, why don't you run this down for us right here? And obviously, this isn't for everybody who's tuning in. These other classes aren't technically Lucas Oil Sportsman Series, but other series outside of the Camping World. We want to shout out and give them congratulations for winning here this weekend. So, Dave, why don't you shout these guys out for us?
Sure. Pro Mod, Jordan Lazick, I believe this was his first national event. He goes all the way. Was supposed to face Jason Scruggs in the final, but Jason basically hurt the motor in the semifinals. They were on quick turnaround to hurry up and get back, and basically said, you know what, we're too damaged. We're not going to come back and make the run. They said they were going to tow him up, just let him take the tree, and basically wins by default. But Great performance for that team to get that far. Factory Stock Showdown went to Mark Powick, who set the quickest Factory Stock Showdown time ever at 7:58 in the first round of eliminations. That was contested early this morning, even before the track walk and opening ceremonies. Ronnie Bond in Competition Eliminator, Jay Story in Super Stock, Tyler Bohannon in Stock Eliminator. And then on the second page here, we got 2 pages of Sportsman winners. There we go. Tren Crisoni in Super Comp, Al Gavlovsky in Super Gas, Chad Peckrell in Top Sportsman, and Factory X was competed again this weekend. Alan Johnson took the Mopar to the first ever 200-mile-an-hour run and capped off the weekend with a win in Factory X. And as we look at this, they are not sportsman classes per se, like you said, that they just fall into this designation. How about Greg Anderson, Alan Johnson, and Mark Powick all winning on the same weekend at a national event? Now,
that's wild.
He hasn't won anything since 2016 when he won that Mile High Nationals in Denver. Mark Powick's last win was way back in 2001, and Greg Anderson's was last week. But awesome to see all these little pro stock guys getting it done still today at the NHRA Midwest Nationals.
And Kellen, your man who won in Pro Mod, that's a pretty big deal for you. I know you've seen him race in person and everything like that in the West Coast Pro Mod Series up at your home racetrack. So how special was it for you to see Jordan Lasseter get the win in Pro Mod here today?
Huge. Definitely a source of pride seeing him and his entire program since about 2020 or so. Jordan Lasseter has really stepped up his game with the West Coast Pro Mods. And last year, he hooked up with Dean Bettinson, who was the multiple-time West Coast Pro Mods champion, and driving Dean's second car, the 1957 blow-in Chevrolet, the Bunker Junker, and has really asserted dominance in the West Coast Pro Mod Series since. In fact, I think out of the 6 races they've ran this year, he's won 4 of them, and the only 2 that he didn't win, he didn't show up at. And of course, one of them was this weekend in Mission, where I think the final points earning event for the West Coast Pro Mods. Well, he was in St. Louis, obviously running the car with Justin Bond, but there's one more event for the West Coast Pro Mods. It's in conjunction with the Streetcar Super Nationals in Las Vegas in November, but basically all Jordan would have to do is show up and qualify, and he will be your 2023 West Coast Pro Mod World Champion. So that's how big of a lead he had on everybody else. He swept the 2 Rad Torque Raceway races that the West Coast Pro Mods had in July and August here at the Rocky Mountain Nationals and at the West Coast Pro Mods Just Send It shootout. And couldn't be happier for the guy. Extremely nice guy. And another name to watch for going forward. And he said in the post-race interview, Las Vegas will be the next time we see him in the second JBS Motorsports Bahrain 1 Pro Mod. So we're looking forward to seeing that and see what happens in Vegas. So
yeah, definitely. And definitely a tough break for his teammate and the guy who pretty much got him that ride, Justin Bond. He goes out
going out in the first round.
Yeah. So that, I think that pretty much, obviously it puts a hurting on his championship hopes, but he's still in it. With one race left to go, which is the season finale in Las Vegas coming up in just a couple of weeks. Moving on now to you, Lee. Obviously, like Dave said, a lot of pro stock guys, former pro stock guys in the winner circle here today. Your thoughts on Mark Powick setting the national ET record in Factory Stock Showdown, and then Alan Johnson getting the win in Factory X. Pretty cool.
It is cool. No surprise. Mark Powick has been campaigning a factory stock car now for many years after wrapping up his pro stock career. And granted, never know. You could see Mark Powick step back in a car. We live in a day and time where Larry Morgan comes back and wheels a pro stock car every now and then, and others. So could see that happen. That'd be pretty cool. But cool, not a shocker. And Factory X is going to continue to improve in performance and handling and what those cars are capable of doing. It is good to see that Jeff Turk with the Blackbird is that car to go first 200 miles per hour. He had a devastating crash in that very chassis that has been rebuilt and put back out that has put him out of the driver's seat. It's just wise for him not to drive. So it is cool to see Jeff Allen get that honor to be the first in that new class in the NHRA, to 200 miles per hour. And if I do say, I started my Monday Morning Racer YouTube channel with a very early video that was titled, "Is NHRA Pro Stock Dead?" Which it's certainly not, and I'm glad that it's not. But in that video, there was an argument for what exactly is that we have today in Factory X. There was a demand, we've got it, and those cars are badass. Man, those things are sexy. I love. They just roll. I'm like, man, look at that rear end, how it covers that big tire. Yes.
We still talking about drag racing?
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of and I'm lucky to have been around for it. I was quite young at the time, but the birth of Pro Mod on the IHRA side. That's what it reminds me of. Like all the uproar around all the Pro Mod cars back in the early 90s. We're getting that same uproar and that same feeling around all these Factory X cars. So I think next year, 2024, is going to be a huge season for Factory X as it takes. It's crawling right now. It's going to take its first baby steps in the early parts of 2024, and we're looking forward to see what comes out of that. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it will be a lot of fun.
I can't wait to see Factory X in person one day. Got to get out to the East Coast because obviously I ain't coming to the West Coast, so got to get there.
That's right. Get off the. Never mind. Darren,
whatever he was going to say, I will be in Bakersfield for the season finale of the NHRA Heritage Series season in a couple of weeks. So I'm getting back out to the racetrack very soon. Very soon.
Good. I'm glad you're getting out to the racetrack. I will actually be back here, Worldwide Technology Raceway, this coming weekend. They are not done drag racing here. The last Division 3 divisional and the last regional to take place in this region will be happening here at Worldwide Technologies Raceway. They were pumping that up. Tony Stewart will be in competition along with many other competitors in Top Alcohol Funny Car and Top Alcohol Dragster. Bob McCaw should be here already making statements that they're showing up to block people like Doug Gordon. So the blocking and the strategies are starting to come to a clear, apparent head in Top Alcohol ranks.
So not just in the pro ranks. Who knew?
Yeah, there you go. Lee, how much time do you have left, man? Because I know you got to hit the road. How much time you got?
Fine, let's go, man. I'm
sure.
Here.
Yeah, I know you got a long road ahead of you, man.
I always have a long road ahead of me, and that's no problem.
There you go. Well, thank you guys all for tuning in to the special edition of Inside the NHRA. Excuse me. We are breaking down the 2023 Midwest NHRA Nationals from Worldwide Technology Raceway. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Nitro Funny Car.
If you own a beautiful modern muscle car like this 1320 Challenger, I'm sure you don't want it stolen. Because the Challenger and many other modern vehicles have an easily accessible neutral release strap. That was your coin holder in your central console, and beneath that there's this red cord that someone can pop, put it into neutral, and potentially easily steal your car. But at Destroyer1320.com, they have the TDS, Theft Deterrent System, which is a cover over that strap using factory mounting points so that you don't get popped by a thief. So make sure to go to Destroyer1320.com using promo code MMR for 15% off and get your Theft Deterrent System, TDS, and steal the thieves' hope.
Welcome back to Inside the NHRA. Darren Williams Jr. along with Dave W., Lee Craft, the Monday Morning Racer, and my man Kellen Nitro of Nitro Maniacs TV Drag Files. Got to give a shout out to my aunt, the 1999 super chat, super sticker right there. Appreciate her for all the support. And obviously, like Dave said earlier, we have to split this 4 ways. So what's 4 divided into 1999? I guess we just do 20, right?
Yeah.
Well, hey, if we're all gonna be at Pomona at the end of the year, let's just put it in a mason jar somewhere and that stuff, and then we could all hit up In and Out after or something with it.
We all 4 are going to be at Pomona.
Yeah,
that's cool. That's dope. That's cool. Can't wait for Pomona.
We're gonna have an in-person show at the racetrack.
We got to figure out how to set that up.
Yeah,
we're just all gonna be in our cars, just like me.
Yeah, we'll all be in a circle in the parking lot. I can see right over there. You know, hey, you say it, I'm gonna get out of my car. I'm coming over there right now.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you know what I hate though? Like, you guys can do that. For me, you still won't be able to see me because, the Pomona will be dark by then. And so even if I'm in my car, you won't be able to see me on screen.
It's always Darren.
We got lights.
Just smile, Darren. Just smile.
Just smile. There you go.
I'll bring an LED light you can strap along your head or something like that.
Yo, we're about to get canceled. We're about to get canceled big time. The Mystic, he says, it's either you guys, Taylor Swift, or in the NFL. I appreciate that, the Mystic.
Yo, bro, thank you for watching.
Yes.
Whoa, Taylor Swift's on. I'm out.
The Mystic is always in the live chat. I appreciate all the support here on Inside the NHRA. Well, top fields in the books, Pro Stop Motorcycles in the books. Let's now move on to the floppers, the Plastic Fantastics, Nitro Funny Car. Like Kellen said to start the show, clutch players pick it up big time when it matters the most. And Matt Hagan was definitely clutch here this weekend. He picks up his 5th win of the year, but 48th of his amazing career. Dave, how about it? Matt Hagan back in victory lane in Nitro Funny Car.
Oh, that was great to see for that team. And especially when you consider how the ladder played out and the competition that he had to go through throughout the day. Alexis DeJoria, first round, comes up second round. John Force, Bob Tasca, and Ron Capps. I mean, these are all championship players and championship contenders. And to go through that lineup and come out with a Wally is just nothing short of amazing for him. And I'm pretty sure I said something at the end of the last show that, you're only going to have about 4 guys because you only have 4 guys that go to the semis every race. The way that this played out, the way that the ladder played out, the way that eliminations played out, the way that qualifying played out, your top 4 in Funny Car leave here 33 points apart. 4 drivers, 33 points. It's a battle royale. Countdown just restarted. It's going to be a 3-race shootout between those 4 drivers.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, man. I cannot wait for the Stampede of Speed. Top 4 only separated by 33 points. That is amazing right there. Going out to you, Lee. Matt Hagan, Hulk Hagan back in victory lane. We always talked about it. It's always Hagan, Height, and Cabs. Well, Matt Hagan, he gets another one here at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
In the media center, I proposed the question to him of that do or done line, as we've already been mentioning. The top 4 going in, they distinguished themselves this race day as the top 4, and everyone else, they were showcased to be outside of that top 4. So I think we have got who are going to be the major contenders in Funny Car for this championship. Matt answered my question this way. Look at me dead in the eyes. He said, to the question of what makes your team distinct and championship winning capable over those other teams, he said, I am hungrier than they are. Mm-hmm. So you've got an individual that thinks he's at the top of his game and that he wants it more than all the other competitors of that top 4, being Tasca, Height, and Caps. And I think a Matt Hagan that thinks he has more for it and in it to get it is a dangerous competitor.
And if you think about it, it's talking about he's hungry. He's definitely hungry because coming off that championship in 2020, if you think about it, 2021 and 2022, he has come to Pomona both years with a chance at a championship and has fallen short on both those days. So definitely he is hungry here in 2023. Let's now take a look at the highlights of Matt Hagan's day here from Worldwide Technology Raceway. First round, like we mentioned earlier, in that American Rebels paint scheme here this weekend. Love that scheme, taking on Alexis DeJoria, and he's going to get the round win right here. 3.961 at 322 miles per hour. Alexis DeJoria struggles once again, but Matt Hagan is moving on into round number 2. Then I got to thank my man DRC for this clip right here because mine was messing up on NHRA.tv, but it's John Force and it's Matt Hagan. We've seen these 2 battles for championships back in the past. Force smokes the tires. Matt Hagan, 403 with the 1 at 312, just slips it on down through there. Then this is the big matchup right here. It's Matt Hagan and it's Bob Tasca, and they put on a show. Bob Tasca smokes the tires. Matt Hagan sails on through and gets the win. As Matt Hagan moves into the final round, 3.991 at 324 miles per hour. But I'll tell you what, that semifinal matchup right there between Hagan and Tasca, that was huge in terms of the championship, and Matt Hagan comes out on top as he moves into another final round. Dave, I'm about to put you on the spot once again. You want to break down Ron Capps' day here from Worldwide Technology? Let's do it.
And this was, I believe, what they were calling was going to be the marquee matchup first round. Ron Capps, Tim Wilkerson. Very, very, very surprising first round matchup. And Ron Capps gets the win on a hole shot. 399 beats Tim's quicker 397.7. Tim gets down the left lane that everybody was struggling with, puts him in a round 2 matchup up against surprising Alex Laughlin, who, again, just another consistent 420, but nothing against Ron Capps' 406, 308. Seemed like he was out of it a little bit early. Capps left first, never trailed in that drag race. Set him up against Blake Alexander in the semifinals. Some names going rounds. Blake had a pretty good run going, but he, again, puffed the tires right about where Tasca got in trouble. And, again, Capps just motoring down through there, 401, 323, and makes his way to the finals. Guido had a safe tune-up in it, knew he didn't really need to hammer on it against Blake and against Alex Laughlin, and it showed.
And my mistake, you guys. Matt Hagan actually went 401.6 at 316 in the semifinal round, and so that's my bad right there. But in the final round, it's going to be Matt Hagan and Ron Capps, a huge, a titanic matchup in the final round of Nitro Funny Car. Let's take a look at that final right now.
Separated by just 0.02 of a second in the last round. I think it's a little quicker out there. You can't tiptoe on either side of this racetrack. Hagan, 399 beats a 402, and look at the speed, 324 miles an hour for Hagan. Capps, 402, 306 miles an hour. Matt Hagan, 029 on the reaction time.
Well, Matt Hagan has been beating his chest down here and anything and everyone inside. I think he even saw somebody headbutt someone. Matt, it's been a tough countdown for you so far. You lost some really close races. Today, you brought a different intensity. You were 29 on the tree. Dickie Venables did his job on his end. What was different about today? How you handled it differently?
Well, I just think we're just being more aggressive now. You know, me and Dickie had a long talk, and we got on the same page. And, you know, he's like, I need you to have a good light, and I need you to be aggressive. And we're working hand in hand. And, you know, we would have loved to double up with Leah today and get 2 TSR wins. But I know Tony's been up in the booth. I'm going to kick his ass because I always like to fist bump him down here. And, you know, he's just good juju. But Andy Ross is in the house. American Rebel, they've been picking up some races. Get this win. His trophies for them. For Andy, we got a lot of stuff going on next year. But, man, God, we're back in this thing. That's what I'm talking about, baby. We can do this. I know what we're capable of. We just got to get it done. Tough competitors over there. All nothing but respect for Ron Capps, Guido, Antonelli, and that entire team over there. They make everybody dig deep.
That is a bad man right there, talking about Matt Hagan, Hulk Hagan, the 3-time funny car champion of the world. He was ready in the final round, 029 on the reaction time. And Kellen, like you said, he's back in this thing with 3 races left to go. A scary Hagan is a Matt Hagan that's hungry is a scary Matt Hagan, I would say.
And you don't want to get a guy that big hungry because they get really growly. Trust me, man. It's good to see. And where have we seen this before, gentlemen? 4 funny cars. What did he say? The gap was 33 points. You know, with that 4, it sounds like last year to me, and it sounds like it's going to be. We're in store for another huge conclusion to the end of the season here. In funny car, and heading to Dallas next, the Texas Motorplex, where anything can happen performance wise out of these cars. It's going to be something to see. But yeah, Matt Hagan, this is a clutch player. Like I said at the beginning of the show, coming in at a clutch time and making the clutch shot, or, you know, at least getting the dubs at the right time to you know, help out to the ultimate goal, or to advance to the ultimate goal, which is the world championship, obviously. Yeah, can't wait to see what happens. It's going to be good.
Yeah, Matt Hagan, 5th win of the year, 48th of his career. And like you mentioned, you know, obviously, even going back to last year, the talks was always Height, Hagan, and Capps, but kind of like that 4th wheel was Bob Tasca. Well, Lee, Bob Tasca has definitely shown at the start of this countdown here that he's a serious championship threat. #1 qualifier again here this weekend. Lost in the semifinals. And like we saw, lost a close race to Matt Hagan in the semis. But Bob Tasca, serious threat with 3 races left to go, I would say.
very serious threat, more serious than he has been in the past. There has definitely in the past been performance. There has been times in which he thought they were going to be contenders for a championship and they begin to slip, but he is not, as of yet, going out in round one, which is something you cannot do in the countdown if you intend to win the championship. Making a semifinal appearance, you can do that. Having to win, you can do that. Going on and making semifinals again at Dallas, making semifinals again at a Las Vegas, you're definitely in play going into a Pomona, the World Finals. They're doing what they've got to do right now. But with the on-track interview, I don't know if it aired on Fox. I think it might have been an NHRA.TV side. It was what was piped through the PA. You can tell that the pressure is there. Aaron Brooks said he can feel that this is like championship rounds every time, that he felt that round one with the matchup they had it might as well have been Pomona, the finals with the championship on the line. So people are feeling it.
For sure. And speaking of Aaron Brooks, going back to you, Lee, did you think that, with the addition of Aaron Brooks and Todd Okahara, them kind of like, a tandem crew chief duo right there, did you think that they would have this much success here in 2023?
No. And I do not mean that against anything against Aaron. I do not. I am not shocked by success. I am shocked at how quickly there has been the success. Okahara, not shocked by what he's able to do. But many people didn't think that duo was really going to work. It was kind of like those two. But as time has gone on and it's been revealed, they have communicated a lot with each other. They have desire to work with each other, and and it's meshing pretty well. Aaron can definitely be that home run swinger, and Okahara can be that bit, let's tone it back a little bit. Let's think about it. And that seems to be playing off really well. Aaron knows how to get the job done. Justin Ashley's first wins are a product of Aaron Brooks, all right? Some of Doug Foley's best ETs and mile per hours are a product of Aaron Brooks. And that's just me naming things recently. You can go deeper into his career, and you're going to see certainly prowess at tuning these nitromethane beasts. And it's no different with Okahara. So putting it together with all that task of money, it's made sense.
And we know Aaron Brooks has been with Perdome. He's been with Alan Johnson. He's been with, just so many great teams over the years. Like he definitely knows what he's doing. And the same with Okahara. Okahara has been obviously with Schumacher for a long time. Okahara's been around. So these two dudes, they know what they're doing, both intelligent guys. And it's great to see the success they're having here with Bob Tasca. One guy everybody wants us to talk about now is the points leader coming in, and that is Robert Hight, starting off the countdown with back-to-back final rounds. Actually won the countdown opener in Reading, Pennsylvania, but unfortunately loses on a hole shot here in round number 2. Bob Tasca did chunk it in, though, in the second round. But, Dave, tough break for Robert Hight here this weekend here in St. Louis.
Just a rough weekend all around. Go into the last session, again, not qualified, no session bonus points, and qualifying in the lower half of the field is not going to help your cause when it comes down to winning a championship, because just like his Force Racing teammate and sister-in-law Brittany, you gotta make it in qualifying. And right now, that was a huge round 2 matchup. Yes, like you said, Tasca did chuck it in. 018 light, got lucky with it because it could have went red, it could have went the other way, but it was enough to put Hight on the trailer and move on. And that round was pivotal because now Bob Tasca leads the points by 6 over Robert Hight. Bob Tasca picked up 6 session points, but he was also number 1 qualifier, so that put 5 more points between him and Robert based on their qualifying positions. And when you got 4 guys, 33 points, that stuff matters now. That matters more than anything. So, if they're talking about first round against Jack Wyatt, with the Motorcraft team being like a Pomona situation, you have to look at every qualifying session like a Pomona situation from here on out, because you need those points. I agree. Every little bit helps, and it's going to go a long way towards deciding this championship.
I definitely do agree with that. Tough weekend all around for Robert Hight in that AAA. Great to see him back in the AAA colors, though, here this weekend here at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Let's now see how the rest of the day shaped up in Nitro Funny Car. And I guess, guys, we got to give a big shout out to Jim Head Racing and Blake Alexander making it to the semifinals. Won a little bit of a pedal fest against J.R. Todd in round number 2. So shout out to Blake and all around good day for that team, I would say, Kellen.
Yep. He was one of the guys I was going to spotlight quickly here. Blake Alexander, Jim Head, that entire crew. They brought it today, and they had, not a easy matchup at all in that second round with J.R. Todd, and really took it to him. And I tell you what, that was a back and forth pedal fest in that second round. Just old school match race, funny car mentality. John Force used to say that this track back in the day was St. Louis slick. Now, I've been a fan of John Force for, my entire life and that stuff. So I kind of get what he says by saying St. Louis slick, as it's slick. So and to see those two attack the track like they did, and have an old school almost cavalcade of funny car stars style match race in that round. That was one of the highlights of the race for me. And it was cool to see Blake get the dub in that one.
Lee, anybody in Nitro Funny Car you want to shout out or point out here in St. Louis?
Yeah, Jack Wyatt. I know that he goes out round one, but there was drama in qualifying with the floppers, just as there was with the top field dragsters. And Jack Wyatt, he is able to keep it in the show and has been able to do that event after event after event, being an independent Nitro journeyman out there. I hate it for Dale Creasy. Definitely want Dale to be in the show. Peanut, they're a good group. Want to see them in the show, but they were not able to make it. There's, when you've got more than 16 cars, you're going to see people go home that more likely you don't want to see go home. But it was a dogfight to get in the show. Chris King, he didn't make the show, definitely made an effort, and just issues for him and that team and parts and pieces. They were even able to make Q1. They fired it up, and they were just shooting raw nitro out of a lot of pipes, and they completely tore that bullet down and rebuilt it to get it to put them in a situation where they could go up and even make the pass in Q2, but then he pulled out in Q3, didn't even make a shot. So tough outing for him, but the independent guys doing well. And then, my boy Chad Green, they could be so much further ahead if it was not just for little things.
Yeah.
I go back to Pomona. I believe it was round one, Winter Nationals, and Chad Green stomps on that loud pedal, but Chad goes nowhere because the throttle stop was not removed. You could tell Daniel made that move, and he's like, he's staged. I can't go do nothing. And he had to let it play out the way it played out. Now, I'm not sure what happened with this parachute issue, but it falls out. Alex Laughlin's able to pick up a win, and Jim Dunn Racing been able to pick up some round wins, going A to B. Look, I know they're not the most competitive team, but I did speak with John Dunn, who really is the brains of the operation, the thrust behind the operation now, Jim's son, and he said that they are working on things and look for them to have better performance in Dallas. They're aiming for that. And by the way, I believe him. I don't know if this is to be known or not, but I got it on film. He didn't say don't film it, but Brian Karate was down there during a warm-up or two overlooking the Dunn operation. So they seem to be getting some help with that car. We could see them pick up performance possibly.
That's cool. That's cool. And obviously, big shout out to Jim Dunn. I know he had some great quotes during qualifying yesterday.
We need a Daniel Wilkerson and Jim Dunn Funny Car podcast.
That would be awesome. That would be a must listen. 5-star ad on Apple for sure.
Yeah, just want to give a big shout out to Big Jim Dunn for everything he's done for drag racing, funny car racing, just in general, and for how long he's been out here still doing up 90 years old. Just want to give a shout out to that man right there because still going strong. Even
legend.
Well, they got to screw up for me to win. I about had a heart attack. I'm ready to go.
Dave, anybody else on Nitro Funny Car you want to go over before we move on?
Yeah, I would like to just highlight just that final qualifying session. Everybody that came up in the last round of qualifying that was outside the show made a run that got them, at least at the time, in the show.
Yeah.
Like Lee said, feel terrible for Peanut, for Creasy Jr. to not make it. First pair out, him and Robert Height, 17 and 18. They're the 2 cars out. Height goes all the way to 6th. Dale goes all the way to 13th. And you're like, well, maybe that's safe. Unfortunately, Chris King, I don't know what happened. Alan was assuming on the PA maybe a air bottle system or an air leak. They couldn't run the car, couldn't come in there to make the shot. Jack Wyatt comes up, car shuts off early, still gets in there with a 4:17.3. And that was just enough by that 0.006 of a second coasting across the finish line to put him ahead of Dale Creasy. J.R. Todd comes up, not qualified. He puts it in the show. Dave Richards comes up, not qualified. He puts it in the show. And lastly, Alex Laughlin comes up, not qualified, and he puts it in the show. Now, that's one of those, this is what qualifying is all about. This is a bump your way in. This is the do or done session for you right now. And everybody that was able to did it. Unfortunately, like I say, Dale Creasy made it. It was unfortunately bumped back out and didn't get to make the show. But yeah, Big Jim with his "I'm 90 years old, it's time to go" comment was I didn't know whether to laugh or to cry, because it's like, you know, he seemed like he was like, I don't want to be here no more. Like I'm just dropping off. It's like they keep propping me up and bringing me out every week to run this car, and I don't know if I want to do it. And so it was great to see him go around. Great to see Blake Alexander go around. I know it was kind of Darren was talking about a little bit earlier that it's kind of sad that he just barely outran Chad Green with a parachute out to be able to win that round, but he still got the round win. And the Jim Dunn car is still ahead of Cruz Pedregon in the points.
Yeah.
So
man,
we got that going on for you.
Wow.
Cruz Pedregon is last in the funny car countdown, which is just beyond
blows
amazing.
my mind. Blows my mind. You have Collins over there, Ryan Elliott, Lee Beard helping out. And last year showed so much performance toward the end of the year. They come out this year very strong. And then it's like every weird thing in the book starts happening.
Yeah.
And stuff we didn't even know was in the book. And it just has not been there since after Vegas this year. Just
Yeah. So let me ask a question. Obviously, I don't know what's going on internally through there. We all know John Collins is a great crew chief. He's proven himself time and time again within the sport. But we know Cruz is not scared to make changes on his team. Can we possibly see a change come pretty soon? With how, I mean, this is year 3 now of this experiment. Do you think there could be a change coming soon, or just give it a little more time?
Well, I think you already seen the change in that they brought on Lee Beard, and because that's the newest addition. Him coming on as a consultant and helping out in the situation. Granted, you did have Ryan Elliott step up as like co-crew chief from car chief, and someone else be implemented there. I think they just had some weird things beyond really turning the knobs. Like they had the parachute fall out at Pomona. You had the weird steering issue at Bristol. I think it's been those sort of things that you almost can't even factor in. And they've just had weird drag racing scenarios happen. Granted, they realize where they're at. I walked by John, said, John, how's it going? Hey. I'm like, hey, you ready? This is before Q1. I was like, hey, you ready to go low ET? He's like, man, I just want ET. So, yeah, they get where they're at right now. And I'm sure they are frustrated. Granted, I noticed some of the guys, they were laughing and cutting up, so they might not be that heavy right now, and they might already be working towards 2024 for all we know. I think at this point they really must be, but that change already happened. Will we see something in the off season? I don't think that behooves Cruz. I think it is better to keep the status quo, honestly. And I know you may say, well, that's the definition of insanity, to keep what you've got and expect something different but get the same results. But I think he will get different results. I think they just need to get through whatever this season is.
Yeah.
And then final thing on Nitro Funny Car, and it hates me to ask this question, but obviously, John has won a race every year since 2010. So that's 12 consecutive years now as we go down to 2023. Before that, it was 1987 when he broke that streak. So 2009, he actually broke that streak. But before that, he had won a race every year since 1987.
Yeah.
Does John Force go winless here in 2023?
Man.
3 races left.
Ooh.
John goes winless.
We are going to Dallas next, and he has had a lot of success at Dallas in the past. So
He had a major blow up there last year.
Mm-hmm. So
all the JFR eggs are in Robert Height's basket right now. I don't think that
they are.
John's in test mode.
Yeah.
John's in. Let's see what the track's going to do for Robert's setup, and I don't think that he's going to be, unless it comes down to the Pomona finals, and it's just one of those wacky, can't believe that happened race days, and he picks one up. I don't see that he wins one at the last three.
The fan in me says yes, but the analyst in me says no way. So
there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
I got a question for you.
What do you say, Darren?
Oh, John Force wins out, man. He wins the last three. wins the championship. Wins the championship. Yeah, that's how it's gonna go. Wins out. Wins the last
Hey, look, it's John Force. You never know. You can't. It is John Force. It could happen. You never know.
Maybe he calls Austin and Bernie up on the phone, and they show up for the final 3 races. I don't know.
Hey, I'll take that. You know.
So Clay Milliken is 8th in points in top fuel. He's 152 behind, right?
Mm-hmm.
We already went over that part.
Yeah.
Does he have a chance for the championship?
Me personally, I say no. I think his goals will be to be top 5, but real serious championship threat, I would say no.
Everybody's on the no train.
No, shoot for top 5. Yes.
Yeah.
And the reason I pose that question is because today, after his first round loss, Chad Green is 152 behind in 5th place in points. So if you think Clay has no chance, the rest of the funny car field has no chance either.
Yeah.
Because Chad Green's the best of the rest, and he's already 152 back. So it is going to be a 4-car race from here on out.
You got to be in the 4th spot up in funny car to have a shot at the world championship for sure.
Right. That line is bold, clear, definite of the do and done situation in funny car. We've got our big 4 going into the rest of the races.
Yes.
Which is a shame because Chad had really put his hat into the mix at the start of this countdown.
Yeah.
And just that one first round loss today. And he's just it just crushed him.
You cannot go out round 1.
No,
you can't. You can't, especially when the people you're chasing are going on and winning races too. That just puts you.
You cannot go out round 1.
Yeah.
Well, and he would have had his destiny in his hands because it would have been him in the other lane against Ron Capps in round 2, and maybe Capps doesn't go to the final. Maybe Chad goes to another final. It could have played out so many different ways the way this ladder was laid out. But I believe that parachute shaking out and that first round loss is officially where Chad Green lost the 2023 championship.
For sure, I completely agree. Now for Chad, there is still the goal. Just go get your first national event win.
Yeah,
for sure.
Look, take the pressure off of going to win the championship. Say you're out of it. Go win one.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And he backed up. He ran another 388, 330 in qualifying right there at his career best. I mean, he's 387 and 388 in him to death the last couple of weeks. So the performance is there. It just
certainly
bad luck.
Certainly.
But in the end, Matt Hagan gets the win. He is back in this championship fight with 3 races left to go as we head to the Stampede of Speed and the NHRA Fall Nationals at historic Texas Motorplex in Enos, Texas. Matt Hagan, 5th win of the year, 48th of his career. Thank you guys all again for tuning into this special edition of Inside the NHRA, streaming live on American Hot Rod Entertainment, CompetitionPlus.com, Monday Morning Racer, and the Dave W. YouTube and Facebook channels. We have hitting a milestone here today. For the first time ever, we have reached over 100 live viewers. I want to thank you guys all for tuning in and making this a very special show, getting over 100 live viewers. So really do appreciate that. If you haven't already, make sure to like this show and share this show and let everybody know we are breaking down the 2023 NHRA Midwest Nationals, stop number 3 of 6 in the 2023 NHRA Countdown to the Championship. Top fields in the books, Nitro Funny Cars in the books, Pro Stock Motorcycles in the books. Let's now cap off the show with the gear jamming, door slamming, Pro Stock Car. Go for it, Dave.
back-to-back wins, Greg Anderson, and takes out Erica Enders on the way into semifinals. Comes up with an awesome performance today, puts himself right back in the championship picture, and kind of like we've talked about in the other categories where the potential outcome or the potential problem might be would be in qualifying, because Erica has been sitting on the pole, number one qualifier, low ET, picking up qualifying bonus points. So even with the win, Greg closes the second right behind Erica, and he's 25 behind, but the difference that she picked up in qualifying is going to be huge going through the last 3 races. They really need to get that car to qualify better, and they need to start picking up session points, because that elite team has been crushing them in that department, and you might get to a situation where you run out of rounds to make up that gap. But awesome win for Greg Anderson, back-to-back, like we mentioned, for the first time since 2019 on the Western Swing, and just extending the number of wins in a professional category, in pro stock, for the win leading position, and closing in on Dan Fletcher in the overall wins leading list in general, just of all of NHRA for that point.
What did he say in one of his interviews? He said, "We're not outperforming people, but we're out racing people," and that's what he's doing right now. Greg Anderson, 103rd win of his illustrious career. I got to ask you guys seriously, and let's start with you, Kellen. With the season that Greg Anderson had for pretty much much of the year, going winless. His last one on tour was the Pomona World Finals last season. Went almost 10 months without winning.
Yeah.
And now he's back in championship contention with 3 races left to go. Excuse me. Did you think Greg would be here this late in the season?
No, but the countdown does that. The countdown brings out, again, it's that, the playoffs, clutch players show up at clutch time scenario, right? And I think that they've always had the want to over there. I think that they have obviously found something with Greg and the car and that stuff going into the countdown, and they're just reaping the rewards with it right now. But no, I thought the focus was going to be on the other OG KB Titan car with Dallas Glenn going into the countdown, because it looked like Dallas was going to be the lead horse out of that stable going into or I should say post Indianapolis. But it's certainly refreshing, and it's certainly a lot more fun having Greg in a position where he could be it could be poised to stack up yet another world championship against elite with Erica, who's obviously going for a world championship as well, and the rest of the pack behind him, and Matt Hartford as well, even though Matt kind of stumbled today too. But it makes for a better it makes for a better countdown when Greg is competitive and winning races. It's just plain and simple.
Here's the thing, though. So like I asked Lee earlier, I was like, for much of the season, a lot of the talk was Matt Hartford, Troy Coughlin Jr., Dallas Glenn, Derek Kramer. And Greg and Erica weren't having terrible seasons, but they weren't, at the top, the upper echelon of drivers here in 2023. Well, here's the thing. They're 1-2 in the points now. They're both 5-time world champions. I'm pretty sure Erica doesn't want Greg to say that he's a 6-time champion over her. Greg doesn't want Erica to say that she's a 6-time champion over him. This is about to be pretty intense the last 3 races of the season, I would say, going into the Texas Motorplex in just a few weeks. So, Dave, let's kick it off, man. Want to break down the highlights of Greg's day?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Let's do it.
First round lines up against Jerry Tucker. Greg leaves first. 030 light goes down. Jerry Tucker shakes the tires, gets out of the groove. 654.3, 210.21. First round win of the day. Sets him up in the second round up against Derek Kramer, who beat Kyle Koretsky, whose car was unable to start. Greg, again, first off the line, 025 to Derek's 032 reaction time. Goes even quicker, 653.7, takes out Derek Kramer's 656.6 at 208 by 300ths of a second, almost 4. Moving on to the semifinal round matchup with Erica Enders, who, again, leaves second against Greg. Double 0-2 to her 0-19 on the tree. And then, of course, Erica has issues where the car gets all sorts of out of control. Greg motors right down the lane, 654.1, 209.79, sending him to the finals up against Aaron Stanfield, who, as we talked about many times throughout the season, up until last week when Greg got his win, Greg Anderson, Aaron Stanfield, guys like that this deep into the season have gone winless, which was a huge surprise. And, going into that final round, you kind of think that maybe Aaron Stanfield, here's his time to shine. He hasn't won one all year. He's hungry. He wants to pick one up, and here's your chance. Go get it.
And I tell you what, when Greg muffed the burnout in that final round, I'm like, oh, crap, here we go. Here we go. But he pulls it out, though, in the end. Like you mentioned, in the final round, he'll take on Aaron Stanfield, who is still winless on the year. In the first round, excuse me, my phone just updated. In the first round, Aaron Stanfield took on Cameron Caruso, 656 with a 6 at 210 to take down Cameron Caruso's 658 with a 7 at 207. Then in round number 2, taking on Chris McGahey, Aaron Stanfield 657 with a 2 to Chris McGahey 658 with a 7. Aaron Stanfield moving into the semifinals, and a great matchup in the semis against Bo Butner. Actually beats him on a hole shot. Bo Butner 657, not good enough to beat Aaron Stanfield 658 with a 7 as Aaron Stanfield moves into another final round. So it's Greg Anderson, Aaron Stanfield, young versus the old in the final round of Pro Stock. Let's take a look at it right now.
The number 4 and 7 qualifiers in Pro Stock battling it out for the trophy. Seven thou is the difference in reaction time. And down the stripe they go. Greg Anderson for the 103rd time, 6.552, 209 miles an hour. Aaron Stanfield, 6.567 at 209 miles an hour. And Greg Anderson gets the win.
Well, Greg Anderson's about to lift that Wally for the 103rd time in his illustrious career. Greg, you said you need to step up. You had the car, but there's some anxious moments there. It looks like you had some trouble with the burnout.
Yeah, I had some trouble. I screwed it up, Bruno. I'm off the burnout, and I thought, you know what? Forget it. Just forget it. This car is good enough. It's going to go across that starting line just fine. And it did. It was just fine. And we got us another Wally. It's been a hell of a 2 weeks, Bruno. So thank you to everybody. Thank you to this great, great race team. I told you we're out racing everybody right now. Might not be outrunning them, but we're out racing them. So Hendrick guys, thank you so much. Summit, Chevrolet, Race Star Wheels, everybody that helps us, thank you so much. We are back in this fight. It's going to be a hell of a run.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations to Greg Anderson picking up his second win of the season. Goes back to back. As you guys all know, he won the last race out in Charlotte, North Carolina last weekend, and 103rd of his illustrious career. But correct me if I'm wrong, Lee. I think you picked Aaron Stanfield to win here this weekend. He's been winless all year long. Makes it to the final round. Still a good weekend though for Aaron, I would say.
If I remember correct, I did pick him to win. He did have a good day. And this race day was surprising in how many people did have good days. Both McGaheys get past round 1. You have Bo Butner. Where did he come from with performance? Did he keep low ET of the day? Did he keep it?
Erica took it from him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but he had a stellar run there in, I believe it was round 1 or round 2. Again, good day for him as well. Aaron has a good day. And shocking for those who did not have a good day. Matt Hartford, Kyle Koretsky, just like it had to fire up during the warm-up. They warmed these things up. It's just just the heartbreak and the disappointment that there must be of this thing just fired up 30 minutes ago before we rolled it up here in the staging lanes. Mm-hmm. And now it won't fire. And I never heard what happened. And I wonder if it was one of those situations they roll it back to the pit and the car knows it's back in the pit and it fires right up, because it wouldn't shock me. I hate it for Kyle. You want to see a race for sure, but interesting day in NHRA Pro Stock of those who did not have a good day and those who did have a good day. I think our standouts, though, still are the likes of Greg Anderson, Erica Enders, and yes, even Matt Hartford. Tough to go out early today, but I think he's such a competitor and he's having such a year. I don't think he's going to make that mistake again.
And before we move on to Matt Hartford and his day, let's talk about Dallas Glenn, because it's been a been it's been feast or famine basically for Dallas Glenn in this countdown. You kick off, obviously you come into the countdown with the points lead. You go out first round at Reading. You make it to the final round at Charlotte, but then you go out first round again here this weekend in St. Louis. Just your overall thoughts of Dallas Glenn so far, Kellen, and a pretty rough start to the countdown for him.
Yeah, definitely not the start that we had forecasted for him, the way the regular season wrapped up and how dominant he was during that stretch. It's just the drag racing is a very what have you done for me lately type sport.
It's a very fickle sport, huh?
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's just it's something where, okay, much like what we had discussed with Top Fuel with Brittany Force, now he's in a situation where that team going to Dallas needs to show something. It needs to be either a top qualifying spot or a late round appearance on Sunday. Because again, if they go out round 1, round 2, it's a situation where it could be curtains for the championship hopes for Dallas Glenn for 2023. In pro stock. It's amazing on how quickly that tide turns in the sport, but that's drag racing. It's always been that way. We can go back and we can rag on point standings going all the way even back in the late 80s and 90s when guys like Glidden and Alderman were dominant, and see what happened with a lot of their rivals where we'd figure that somebody would have a points advantage for most of the year, and then at the end of the year, it ends up being what it is. So I think that's just the victim of circumstance right now is Dallas Glenn, and I'm hoping that they can turn it around just because Dan Provost and the rest of the guys at Rad Torque Systems really have high hopes with Dallas, and it would be great to see them walk out with the championship at the end of the year. It's just right now they're not getting the race luck on race day that they need to advance rounds and get the much needed victories.
For sure. Like we mentioned, Dallas Glenn comes into the countdown with the points lead, but has definitely dropped like a rock since then. Dave, let's now break down this crazy first round of pro stock, because Lee mentioned it. The McGahey stepped up big time with great reaction time from both of them. So let's break this thing down, and I actually have the clips for them. So let's do it.
Yeah, perfect. So one of the biggest shocks, Chris McGahey and Matt Hartford. Chris McGahey comes up here with a 006 reaction time, and Matt Hartford has an uncharacteristically slow 089 reaction time. And, like we always talk about, you can't give up 0.08 of a second on the starting line. Chris McGahey's 6:57 outruns or holds off Matt Hartford's 6:53 with a 3. One of the quickest times of the round, and there you could just see the reaction right there, just like, wow, a 53 lost to a 57, just happens. What can you do? I'm sure he's just shaking his head going around the corner, just knowing that if he could just rewind and have that one back, what might have been. But really nice to see Chris McGahey pick up a round win. Then you get later on in the round, you got Mason McGahey against Troy Jr. Same thing, 007 for Mason McGahey, 049 for Troy Coughlin, and again a 6:56 holds off a 6:53. Put both of the McGaheys into round 2, I believe, for the first time this year that they've both advanced out of round 1 at the same national event.
Yeah, man, just a crazy first round of pro stock. And like you saw, the dejection on Matt Hartford's wife's face. And then, obviously with him, the reason why I ran the clip so long is just to show the dejection in Matt Hartford's face, obviously throwing off the gloves because he's very disappointed.
Right.
So like we mentioned, Eric and Greg 1 and 2 in points. Matt Hartford coming in with the points lead. Obviously, he drops down.
So we didn't really go through. So, yeah, I mean, I don't want to say that these guys are out of it because, yes, Eric is number 1. Greg's number 2 now, 25 back. Hartford's still 30. He's only 38 out. Dallas Glenn's 464 out. Aaron Stanfield 73 out, and Troy Coughlin Jr. 107. So they're not that far out of the ballgame, I wouldn't say. I mean, with the way pro stock has been going this year, and everybody basically in the field being in the countdown, you got these random first round losses that pop up, and we all thought that was going to be Greg's nail in his coffin when he lost first round at Reading. I'm sure we thought, all right, he's done. And then back-to-back wins puts him all the way up to second. Erica is leading the points because she's been to the semifinals all 3 races, and she's done well in qualifying all 3 races. So that puts her in first. You already talked about Dallas Glenn, first round, final round, first round. It keeps seesawing back and forth. So it's whoever's going to go around and have the consistency is what it's really going to help. But you just can't have those early round losses. But I wouldn't write off Aaron Stanfield, Dallas Glenn, Matt Hartford just yet, because they're all still in it. And with 3 races to go, and we could see how big these points can swing one way or the other.
Right.
This thing's up in the air. It's up in the
Oh,
air.
it is, for sure.
Yeah.
It is.
It is the most up in the air of all of them, I think.
Who starts diving for who?
Ooh, diving.
That's a great question.
Nobody's diving. Hey, I'll tell you what, Fernando Quadra Sr.'s been diving for the elite team. He hasn't even made a field yet in the 3 countdown races. He stands last. That is a shock.
Is it a shock? Just saying.
But I mean, if you look at the way that the points are played out, where do you put the do or done line in pro stock? Do you go Aaron Stanfield 73 back in 5th, or do you go all the way back to Troy Coughlin 107 back in 6th, or even Derek Kramer 116 back in 7th? Kyle Koretsky's 145 back in 8th, so I think he's probably less likely, but we can see the bigger swings in the pro stock category that we don't see in the nitro categories just by looking at that ladder there that Darren had up on the screen and the surprising early round losses because everybody's a contender. You qualify, your position points are hundredths of a second. This is really going to be an exciting run to the wire. And I feel like we can go to Pomona with probably 5 or 6 still having a chance at the last race.
Yeah, I think that do or done line goes right under Troy Coughlin Jr. in 6. And you talk about it with 1.5 points at Pomona. If we have 6 different drivers still at a shot at the championship, hey, that's gonna be pretty exciting right there. I would definitely love that. And so
the dives Lee's talking about, they're gonna start diving at Pomona. Get the snorkels out, baby.
Maybe in Vegas. Maybe in Vegas when we get to the final round.
Yeah, it started Vegas. Remember, it did start Vegas.
Yeah,
but,
maybe in Vegas.
I don't know. We might even start seeing secretive dives in Dallas for all we know.
Well, we haven't seen Greg Anderson try and manipulate the ladder yet this year, where he's been pulling the parachutes at 1,000 foot trying to set up round 1 matchups. So, thankfully, if you have 18 to 20 cars showing up every race, you don't want to take that chance. You don't have that luxury anymore. You got to play the ladder.
Yeah,
Dallas did that last year, right?
Over that
Was it Dallas that did it
last year? Ended up so.
right. Dallas attempted at Vegas to do that, and it didn't work out. Where Greg, back at Pomona the year prior, 2019, he was able to pull that off and draw Erica round 1 for an epic showdown there at Pomona in the stand. That was a good time, Darren. A good time.
That was a good time. That was the day we met, man. I would never forget that. 300 feet, man. That's the number. 300 feet.
No.
Yeah. Where's John Force gonna smoke the tires, Darren?
300 feet. 300 feet, baby. Hey, Dave, is that time of the show, man? High performer of the race. Who is the high performer of the race for the 2023 NHRA Midwest Nationals from Worldwide Technology Raceway, man?
Well, that's got to be the Chevrolet high performer of the race. Greg Anderson, back-to-back 103rd career win, moves himself right back into the points picture, 25 behind arch rival and nemesis Erica Enders. And it's going to be a dogfight going down to the last 3 national events of the season.
Congratulations to Greg Anderson. Here's your high performer of the race here on Inside the NHRA here at the 2023 NHRA Midwest Nationals. Like Dave said, back-to-back wins on the season, and he's back in this championship fight with 3 races left to go as he gets the win here today here from Worldwide Technology Raceway. Thank you guys all for tuning in to this special edition of Inside the NHRA. Well, before we do that, actually, any final thoughts on Pro Stock before we move on? Any final thoughts?
I do. I feel like everybody who likes the pro stock category needs to understand you are witnessing something you probably ain't going to see in a long time. Yes, we talked earlier throughout the season about the potential changing of the guard, but as of right now, at least with Erica and Greg first and second, so they're going to be the storylines, even though Matt and Dallas and everybody else are not that far behind. Greg Anderson's 103rd career national event win, so obviously he's number 1 on the wins list. Hopefully he does not have the Warren Johnson syndrome where Madison, Illinois is his final career win, just like it was for Warren back in 2010. But you'd have to go, so of active full-time pro stock drivers, Greg Anderson, 103, adds to the total today. Erica Enders' last win at Topeka. She's 6th on the list with 45. All right, so those are the top 2. How many do you think you have to go back to full-time pro stock drivers? Who's the next in wins?
After Erica?
After Erica.
Full-time. We're going Kurt or Jason? No, Kurt. Well, Kurt Johnson.
No, I should say current full-time pro stock.
Oh, current full-time.
Yeah, current active drivers.
Current active drivers. Ooh. Let me put that ladder up real quick. Let me go from the ladder. Hold on. Put that ladder.
My guess would be Matt Hartford, maybe?
No.
No?
Close.
Okay. Close.
Bo Butner.
Bo Butner has 11 career wins, and it puts him
wow.
20th on the all-time win list. So you go from 103 to 45 to 11. And then after that, with 8 wins, you've got Chris McGahey, Dallas Glenn, and Matt Hartford all tied at 8 wins. So of current active pro stock drivers, when Greg and Erica hang it up, or when Greg hangs it up and Erica adds to her win total, it's going to be a long time before we see any kind of numbers and wins totals racked up anywhere close to them, considering they don't even run the full season anymore. So what are they down to? 18 national events a year, 17 or 18 with the pro stock category. That's at least 5 seasons before you see any kind of real movement there, anywhere into the top 5 for that matter. Once Erica stops winning, of course, she's going to likely break into the top 5 before her career is over with. But a lot of guys down at the bottom that are just starting their career, you're really witnessing history. You're witnessing the top 2 current active winningest pro stock drivers in the category who have gone head to head. I believe that'll be 3 out of the last 5 or 6 races now with each other. And they're 1 and 2 into points, and they're both going for their 6th championship. If you sit back and look at it as a big picture, this is something that you won't see for a long time coming.
I definitely do agree with that. Yes. Greg and Erica has been one of the best battles we've seen in pro stock history. And I tell you what, it's been great to be able to witness it up close and personal.
Yes.
That puts a cap now on Pro Stock Eliminator, everybody. Thank you guys all for tuning into this special edition of Inside the NHRA. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to wrap up the show.
In the race for quality, there is no finish line. Jerry Bickle Race Cars is a one-stop chassis shop for drag racing performance parts and race components. For over 50 years, Jerry Bickle Race Cars has been an essential part of racers' plans for building world champion race cars. Our parts department is stocked with every part a racer might need. Log on to jerrybickle.com for more information. We build anything with doors. jerrybickle.com.
Competition Products, your source for hardcore engine parts for street, strip, and oval track. Our free catalog is packed with hundreds of product lines from the best-known manufacturers in the performance industry. Lowest prices guaranteed. Free shipping and handling on all orders over $149 in the continental U.S.
Need expert advice? Our knowledgeable staff is just a phone call away.
Competition Products, race parts sold by racers since 1970.
Welcome back to Inside the NHRA. Darren Williams Jr. along with Dave W., Lee Craft, the Money Morning Racer, and Kellen Nitro of Nitro Maniacs TV Drag Files. And so what a great race we saw here this weekend from Worldwide Technology Raceway. Stop 3 of 6 in the NHRA countdown to the championship. Any final thoughts, guys, before we get out of here? Anybody?
You know what? This might go down as a pivotal event in the countdown when we look back to it, depending on what happens, obviously in Dallas and at Vegas, and then subsequently Pomona, of course. But there was a lot of movement today in the standings, and a lot of surprises, a lot of great racing out there. It's heating up, and I can't wait to see what happens over. It's hard to believe we got 1 month left of the regular season, or not regular season. One month left of the countdown here, guys. From October, this is October 1. About a month from now, we're going to be gearing up for World Finals, and then afterwards, we'll know who the world champions are, and we'll know who our top competitors are in the 4 pro classes. So the stage is being set for a thrilling finale. Check it out. Do all the research and check out all these guys' channels online. I'll keep you all updated with it as we roll forward with it. But yeah, I can't wait. This is really exciting. This is the best part of the season, in my opinion. So.
No, I definitely do agree with that. I'm sorry, Lee. I tried to get it under 2 hours, but y'all just talk too dang much. All right. Y'all just talk too much. I tried. But thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're fine, man. I'll go out to eat somewhere here late and then go work out and get a motel room, which is typically what I do anyway, and drive some more tomorrow. It
Just send the
is
bill.
what it is.
Just send the bill. That's all.
Yeah, you owe me a lot, and you know that. No, you don't owe me anything. Good to be on the show. What a good show we had here at Worldwide Technologies Raceway. We've covered all of that. I do want to say I enjoy coming to what is AKA Gateway. It is a cool facility to come and experience a drag race. I've experienced it for NHRA national events. I've experienced it 2 times with Hot Rod Drag Week. I'm looking forward to being here for the divisional/regional event coming up this weekend and experience that. In Division 3, they run a good divisional and regional, and there'll be storylines there for sure. So it is a good facility. I like the tower. Like, you've got roof access, so you can get those shots if you're media, or you can see that perspective from a fan. You've got the side grandstands off the tower. They give you that angle. You're close to the track. You're not far away. It might not be the closest on tour, but you're not far away when you're in the stands. The way the pits are laid out just makes sense. It's not hard to get around. You don't feel like you're walking really far away from where you sit or where concessions are, or where merchandise is when you're out there in the pits. The track makes sense for the most part. I don't know how the racers feel about it. Greg Anderson actually today, I mean, granted he win, I'm sure he would say that. He's like, it's perfect. I love this place. But everything I've experienced, like I didn't even bother using media parking this weekend. I parked in Red Key, Red Card, and just used my media pass. I could have been closer, but it's fine. It's close even for Red Key people, and general admission parking is close. It's nothing like Pomona. Oh my goodness. But
Hey,
no,
calm down, calm
Worldwide Technologies Raceway. Good job this weekend.
For all you guys don't know, Lee, he says he parks in general admission, right? He has a golf cart that comes and picks him up from the parking lot and takes him to the tower. Like, don't let him fool you. Don't let him fool you.
Hey, this is an eye opener for me. Talking about far parking away at Pomona, I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't look into that.
He gets curbside service. Okay, they get the golf cart, bring it up to him, bring him to the tower. So don't let him fool you.
Oh, okay.
What about you, Dave? Man, what about you, Dave? Any final thoughts?
Man, it just, whirlwind start to the countdown, 3 in a row. We had drag racing to look forward to every weekend. Now a couple off till the Stampede of Speed, a couple off till Vegas, and then a couple off till Pomona. So, yeah, we only got about a month left in the season, but it's going to be a long month in between them. We've got, if you believe the do or done line where we were placing them throughout the field, we have 3 races left. And basically 16 drivers remaining in the hunt for 4 championships. So it's going to be very interesting coming down to these last 3, how it plays out. And wish they were all in a row like NASCAR does it. They're not. So we got to wait a little bit of time, but that's okay. We always said the first 3 would separate the contenders from the pretenders. And that seems to have been the case. So all you can do is look forward to the next one. And like Lee said, Worldwide Technology Raceway is a really nice facility. I've been there multiple times. A lot of the chassis builders use it as their test facility. Jerry Bickle Race Cars, I believe RJ Race Cars is pretty close in that particular area in the Southern Illinois area. So they come out and test new chassis and run there. So I wouldn't be surprised that Greg said he had an affinity for the place, because he probably made just as many passes down that track as any of the other ones. Test a new pipe and equipment, although I know they do a lot of testing over in North Carolina as well at Mooresville. But nice facility. It's way nicer in the fall than it is in the summer. I will say that, because you can definitely bake there. There is a lot of asphalt, and there is no way to escape it. So you definitely need to be happy that you're racing there in September and October, because the summer months are brutal in that particular area. But all in all, great event, great winners, surprising storylines, and can't wait for the next 3.
Yeah, man. Can't believe it's only 3 races left to go in the season. I feel like we were just kicking this thing off in Gainesville in March to where we are now. Like it's this time flies by when you're having fun. And I tell you what, I really appreciate all the support for everybody who tunes in every week, week in and week out here on Inside the NHRA. And I just want to see some great championship battles. Lee knows I just love great championship battles. I don't get to be able to view the sport as a fan pretty much a lot anymore. But I tell you what, when they get to Pomona and we got 4 great championship battles in all four of our pro categories, I'm be sitting up in the stands with some popcorn, enjoying a good championship battle right down to the end out at In-N-Out Burger Pomona drag strip. And I cannot wait to see all 4 of you guys out of Pomona in just a couple months. Well, next month, basically, for the World Finals. It'll be a lot of fun. But thank you guys all for tuning in to the special edition of Inside the NHRA. And also, thank you for allowing us to reach this milestone. This is the 3rd year of this show. And for the first time ever, we've reached over 100 live viewers. Thank you for helping us reach that mark. I really do appreciate it. If you haven't already, make sure to like this show, share this show, and let everybody know. We brought you all the highlights and went in depth. We broke this thing down to a T of the 2023 NHRA Midwest Nationals. Thank you guys all for tuning in, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Stampede to Speed, the NHRA Texas Fall Nationals. Good night, everybody.
Right.